Let's have a look at some of these runners as they head up to the gates, and there is Pinteri Amber. And it is $30.40, and you can see the green figures on the right indicate that the horse has been a little easy, so no support for it, and there has been confidence about the ones that are easing up in the mauve colours. So Undercover has come in $1 into $7.10. We go down then to Induce, which has tightened up $13 from an opening quote of around about 70. Miss Bikini's come in $2 to $40, but still long odds. Queen's right in the betting at $6.50. Miss Denmark's got an each-way chance at $13. We can see that Swansea has been very easy. There's been good movement for Tennessee Midnight, the David Hall trained runner, $3, and down to number 14 Foxtrot, which has been a little bit easy but is still in the betting at $7.20. That's what tote punters have made of it. What have the bookies done? Tim Gossage can tell us.
See, Midnight opened up a clear-cut favourite and then drifted out, Peter, but then there was Slate specking forward and then drifted out again, so they're not too sure what to do with them at the moment, the punters. Undercover, Queen, and one more down the bottom, Foxtrot, are at each way odds. But at this stage, it is still Tennessee Midnight will jump favourite.
Yeah, well, David Hall, well, he is just in flying form at the moment. 3 on Cup Day, a couple at Kyneton yesterday. There's the map, 1,000 metres, and you would expect that they would get to the outside. The pattern of racing has been that the outside is by far the quicker side of the track. Tennessee Midnight from myself and Gary, Undercover from Jennifer, Queen from Richard Friedman in his stable. We'll ask him about that horse in a minute. Miss Denmark from Letzi, and Undercover also for Dan Malicki. Well, what about the chances of yours, Rich? Queen, named after you.
Thank you, Peter. I don't know. There's so little exposed form here. I just knew our filly was feeling well and ran a couple of good races, so I thought I'd put her in.
They're mysteries, these races, aren't they?
They are a bit. Anything can happen. There's a lot of green horses that may do things wrong, and you know, they may shy at the crowd, anything.
And especially when you consider that the tote favourite here, Jen, is a horse that's never been to the races before.
No, but she has had 2 trials and she's trialled very well on both occasions, so she must become a very good chance in this race. I thought Undercover would be hard to beat.
There's Greg Hall with his feet out of the irons aboard Induce, which is one trained by Graham Rogerson, so it would be well educated, trained here at Flemington. And you'll see that the jockeys will take every care with these young horses, getting them into the gates. As Richard said, there can be a few that play up and may even run their race before they go into the gates. And it'll be interesting to see how they cope with the crowd. Jimmy Cassidy is the rider of Miss Bikini, number 7. We've just been notified, a late riding change. And Danny Nikolic rides number 10 at Swansea. So Jay Cassidy on 7, Miss Bikini, and Dean Nikolic aboard number 10, Swansea. Late riding changes here in the first. There's the Hawks runner, Flash Trash. Darren Gauci carrying a shadow roll. The horse, that's the horse carrying the shadow roll, not Darren. And yeah, it will be interesting to see how they cope with probably being hard up on the outside rail here with the big crowd which has already rolled in. There's Miss Bikini with Jimmy Cassidy in the saddle, just going out of the bottom of the screen. The track report today, well, it should actually be in perfect condition. It is good. Penetrometer 3.71, which I think is almost exactly what it was on Foster's Melbourne Cup Day. And there is the famous straight course as we look down now. Last of these runners being loaded up, so let's go up to the commentary box and say a very good morning to Dan Malicki, and with him is Gary Willis.
Yes, good morning, Peter. Good morning, everyone. Well, I've moved in pretty good here. Gee, I like the look of Tennessee Midnight, number 11. Costs $300,000 as a yearling, but beautifully bred by Dane Hill out of Tennessee Morn. The other one I liked was the 8, Miss Denmark. She had a war with little Miss Marnie, and it won very well Cox Plate Day. And the other one was Foxtrot, brought on the outer. It's interesting, I've got the stalls in a true position for this, with the rail being out 5 metres.
Now, Pinteri Amber goes into the line. And Miss Bikini to the outside.
A lot of these T-rolls might go to the inside, Dan, because it's very important to get that rail on a T-roll. And with the rail in the true position, the first 2 days they had the stalls out in the middle of the track, and it was easier for them to go to the outside. But with the rail out 5 metres, they haven't got that room, and I've noticed they've got the stalls in a true position at this stage. It'll be interesting to see Tennessee Midnight. She's beautifully bred. Had the 2 trials, gone very well.
And that's 5 metres either side too, so the grandstand side is out 5 metres as well, Gary. So the whole straight is actually shortened up on both sides if you have a look there.
Yes,
so
you can see straight down there now looking at it. You know, there's you can either go to the inside or the outside. And the boys in the middle, they're the ones that have to make their mind over they go into the inside or outside.
Now, Miss Bikini, the last one up, and
yes,
that's a pretty popular item of clothing today. with the warm conditions.
Here's these boys, gee, they do a great job. She's dug her toes in. She says, well, I don't want to start today. She doesn't realise it's Oaks Day. She better get in there.
Trained by Nigel Blackiston.
They get the old hands behind, try and edge it in. It's amazing when you see these stalls nowadays, see how they've got all that green padding around them on the inside. Sometimes you see some of the good views. You can see up there that green padding if a horse rears up. Well, I've got her in. Jockey will get back on here again, and they won't be long before they're on the way.
1,000 metres, the first event on Oaks Day. Track good, beautiful day. Tennessee Midnight, the favourite. Away they go. Tennessee Midnight didn't jump all that fantastic, and a little slow to begin also. Would have been induced. Now they are going to split up. Down on the flat side of the track, it's Miss Denmark showing speed to lead. White Hart Lane is up there with it. Also handy to those was Swansea. Coming down the outside of the track, though, and showing good speed is Foxtrot to lead Queen. Pinteri Amber's up against the outside rail. Flash Trash is giving them a big start. It's got well back in the field as they run onto the course proper. Bromeister came across, but the leader is Foxtrot. 400 to go down the grandstand side. On the flat side, it's Miss Denmark by 4. On Swansea, White Hart Lane, Rory's Fantasy and All Alight. Grandstand side, the leader Foxtrot. 2 lengths, Tennessee Midnight working home hard now. And then Undercover making up ground. Down the outside of the track, it's Foxtrot and Tennessee Midnight swept to the lead. Miss Denmark on the flat side. Tennessee Midnight drew clear of Foxtrot and Miss Denmark, and Tennessee Midnight opens up, and it's Hall and Preble again. How can you stop them? Tennessee Midnight's won at 4 lengths to Foxtrot. Miss Denmark third, a good run, then Undercover. Flash Trash made up ground. She wants further. They were followed home by Brown Limestone. Next home would have been Miss Bikini with Pinteri Amber. Swansea induced. Bromeister knocked up. So did Queen Exact. And they've pulled up towards the tail end of the field. Rory's Fantasy was down on the flat side of the track, and All Alight was in company with it.
Yes, well, all the trials she had and everything we said about her was right, Dan. She's been beautifully prepared for this race. Here she is. She's about 2 or 3 lengths off them here. But boy, when Brett Preble pressed the accelerator, she accelerated on a very good horse. And Mark Asen, I think you've got a very happy man with you. He's having a great run.
He certainly is. David Hall, congratulations again.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Now, tell us a little bit about this horse.
Well, look, it's, you know, we had a couple of nice 2-year-olds this year, and I haven't been sort of pushing too many 2-year-olds in the past, but all of a sudden I had some really natural running horses, and they've just kept on improving. I mean, you get very scared to say something like the best is yet to come. Little Miss Marnie won at Cox Plate Day, and then the Colt won on Saturday, but this filly was really better than both of those, but you're sort of too frightened to say it.
And once again, the boy aboard, I mean, he is just riding with so much confidence.
He really is. I mean, we're concerned today because she's been very tardy at the barrier in all of her trials, and you know, you don't like to be giving a start away on when the races are as competitive as what they are. But she was still slow away, but Brett didn't panic, and she just found her feet and worked up to the rest of the field, and then you know, she's very smart filly.
Congratulations. Let's hope the winners keep coming for you.
Good on you. Thanks, Mark.
Good on you, mate. David Hall there, Peter. He's just having a wonderful carnival.
He is indeed. Now look at this replay. This is very interesting. You can see that this horse, Miss Denmark, from barrier number 1, which has absolutely towered the horses down the inside rail, is probably about a neck or so behind the horse on the outside, which led them up, and that was Foxtrot, and Tennessee Midnight really finishing off her race very well. But we take nothing away from the winner, but what a performance, Jen, by Miss Denmark, being on the wrong side of the track and just photo finished out a second.
Yes, that's true, and I'm interested to see the time here as well, because the winner was very, very impressive, wasn't she?
We'll see if we can get the time passed down from Dan Malicki, but Brett Preble had a wonderful carnival last year, of course, and Rich then he went through a terrible period where he suffered a shocking fall at Sandown and had some very bad injuries. The time, incidentally, 57.5 seconds, which is 2 seconds outside Special's record. But he really went through a shocking period. It's great to see him bouncing back.
Oh, yes, he's a very talented rider. He's going to be a top rider for a long time. Interestingly, though, he must have said the wrong thing to Ron Hutchison, because he hasn't got a vote in Ron Hutchison's awards yet, and I think he's the winningest jockey.
And there he is, the style of Brett Preble aboard Tennessee Midnight in the first. We'll take a break and be back with Weight and the Dividends. Just in case you're wondering, it is a working day in Melbourne, and we're going to see 80 to 85,000 people here, I think, at Flemington. They'll be picnicking on the lawns. They'll be enjoying a drop of the bubbly, maybe a little bit more than a drop. It is a beautiful day. Oaks Day, 1999, and you're watching it on Network 10 around Australia. The correct weight signal will be coming through shortly on the first race, and the jockey's just getting up on the scales. There was Craig Williams, the rider of Undercover number 2. And one or two of the boys, I noticed that Danny Nicola came back on Shank's pony on foot, but then mounted Swansea again and came back up the roses and back into the mounting yard. And you can see the riders there, just a bit of butterfingers going on. Des Gleeson will be checking the weight, and the riders take off the skull cap and hand that and the whip to Des Gleeson. They can call for the bridle, of course, as we mentioned the other day. And we're about to get the weight signal after the running of the first, hopefully. Correct weight. Everything's okay there on the first race. Correct weight brought to you by Maggi. Super Tab dividends are now official with Dan Malicki.
Favourite the winner, Tennessee Midnight, $2.90 and $1.60. 14 Foxtrot, $2.20 and 8 Miss Denmark, $3.40. Trifecta, $249.50. Only 3 horses Gary Willits mentioned when they were going up to the gates there, so well done, Gary. $249.50 the Trifecta. Terrific dividend with the favourite. Quinella, $16.50 and the Exacta paid $22.30. The numbers 11, 14, 8, fourth number 2, fifth number 5, time 57.5. Very slick run for 2-year-olds. Well, Tim, the favourite wins the first on Oaks Day, a 2-year-old race. David Hall, beat Preble, can't stop them.
They got money too, the punters. It was certainly backed very late. It sort of opened up short all the way through betting and did jump a clear-cut favourite. In fact, specking for both Foxtrot and Miss Denmark too at each way odds in the first. In race 2, well, they're going to open up Whistler and Jabali, equal favourites. And our lucky punter, Gareth Hunter, $5,000 on in the first. He won 15 grand, so he's on his way to a big result.
And let's hope he can double it or treble it by the end of the day. Tim, there is the beautiful shot from the Goodyear blimp looking down on the winner, and a horse with potential, Tennessee Midnight, in this wonderful stable of David Halls and Brett Preble, both men in fantastic form. And they've continued it on through Tuesday on Foster's Melbourne Cup Day, yesterday at Kyneton and today here at Flemington. Now the second, as Tim said, the top 2 are the top 2 on the race book, and Whistler has come up the favourite on $4 and $2.10. Blinkers go on Jabali today, number 2, $4.60 and $1.70. Salem's Tip at $8.60, Dambuster $6.10, Bombaleo is at $9.10, and My Grenadier at $8.90. So there's not much between the top 6 there. Then we've got Guidance at $33, Monolith $18, Labros Pete $18, Blue Murder $16.20, Windpool is $73,000, and here are the selections from the experts. Why have you gone for My Grenadier, Jen?
Well, I don't think he was suited on the wet track last start at Caulfield. He's drawn barrier 1. I thought he'd get a nice run here. And I thought he'd win from number 10, Blue Murder, at pretty good odds, around about 16 to 1, and number 5, Bambaleo.
Whistler for Richard and Letzi, and I've gone for Jabali, and so too has Gary Willits. We agreed on the first and managed to come up with the winner, so hopefully for us we can make it 2 out of 2, but Dan likes My Grenadier. Look at those beautiful roses. They look spectacular here at Flemington, as they always do at this time of the year, especially on this day, Ladies' Day. It's Oaks Day, 1999. We'll take a break and be back with more, including another look at the sensational Melbourne Cup in just a moment.
Just because of the association with Brian and Bob LaPointe and Robert Sangster, and she was raced by a big syndicate. She was only a dead set pony. She'd won the Wakefield the week before with 9 stone, and Shower Rain was round. She rebelled into ground and was a good gutsy effort to win the Oaks that year.
She went into this race red hot favourite. She'd won the 2 previous lead-up races, the 1,000 guineas and the Wakefield. Going into the Oaks was a lot of pressure. Bart Cummings was I hadn't been associated with the Cummings stable for long, and I wanted to do well and please them. And we went through the race nicely positioned, and the stable mate was our hardest opposition towards the end, and we just held on by a short half edge.
She got back a bit early, but she drew the outside, and I was deep going into the first turn, so I elected to go forward. I went forward, I led, I dominated the race in front, and she was just too good.
She was just too good, but Shane Dye almost fell off that filly. Slight chance at the start of the Oaks back in 1992. Welcome back to Flemington, to this wonderful scene where the crowds are continuing to roll in, expecting a top temperature of around 27 degrees today. Good day to wear the hats and to sink a drop of the bubbly. Here's the presentation after the first, and let's join Rob Christie, the chairman of the Toyota Dealer Council.
Chairman, committee of the VRC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Toyota and the Toyota Dealer Network, we're very pleased to be able to sponsor this race today, the Toyota Victoria Stakes. Toyota's been in Australia for some 40 years, and we're certainly here for the long run. Also, there's never been a better time to visit your Toyota dealer. We have an exciting range of new models in Echo, Corolla, fabulous new Celica, and the commercial range. Along with the Toyota Carnival sale, these are very exciting times for you. We congratulate the owner and the syndicate of Tennessee Midnight, and we'd like David Moran to step forward and receive his trophy.
Well done to David, and congratulations to the Bellerive Stud Syndicate, the winning owners, with Tennessee Midnight here in the first number 11, a filly with plenty of potential. Well, we saw the beautiful scene down there on the lawns in the thick of the action down in the mounting yard. Good morning to Tim Webster.
Hello, Peter. Yes, if this young lady hadn't become a bookmaker, she would have been written out of the will, I think. Catherine Reid, the youngest member of the Reid bookmaking dynasty. Hi and welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
21 years of age and a bookmaker already, but of course you are at the moment restricted to the country.
Yes, I am. I'm restricted to working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday meetings in the country, and then I go before the registration committee and they look at turnover to see if I'm eligible to go into the city.
Turnover, and I guess being able to meet your debts, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
How far afield do you go in the country?
Well, at the moment I'm trying to stay as close to home as possible, but anywhere I get in. There's a ballot system at the moment, and you put in and hope that you get into a meeting.
Of course, your uncle is Mark, your dad, your granddad, I mean the whole family going back a long, long time. How long?
Almost 3 generations. My grandfather was a bookmaker, obviously Mark Reid's bookmaker, my father Grant Reid. My grandmother was the biggest female punter in Australia.
That was Mabel?
Mabel, yes. And she used to be restricted from betting, and my father and uncle had to put on bets for her. So long line of, and City Hill, he's my great uncle, he is also a bookmaker.
And of course Mark's rating system that we use in our news has just become huge.
Yes, it is. Excellent service, and it will just keep growing, I think.
Yes, yeah. Now, what about you? I mean, at 21 years of age, does the tension of bookmaking get to you? It couldn't, otherwise you wouldn't do it.
No, I think with bookmaking now, you really have to be very confident, and you have to go there to the races with confidence and the aim at winning.
Well, all the best. I'm sure we'll see you on the Metropolitan tracks within the not too distant future.
I hope so.
Catherine Reid, Peter, I tell you what, you've got to be very careful with these hats. This one's nearly taken my eye out, and the obligatory peck on the cheek, you have to be a gymnast.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that already, Tim. It is a bit like that, but don't the ladies look spectacular, and good luck to Catherine in her career. We're going to have a look at the Melbourne Cup once again now, the alternative replay of the Melbourne Cup, looking at a few different angles, and I've seen it a few times since Tuesday, and it was a dramatic race, wasn't it?
Oh, it certainly was. A lot of interference and a very long stewards report as well. So
yeah, and one fella who would definitely be mentioned in the stewards report, and I think he might have almost ridden the Melbourne Cup winner come Tuesday, is joining us down in the mounting yard. Jimmy Cassidy, and Chris Muntz is also there with him, and they finished at different ends of the field. Jimmy, I think you should have won, and Chrissy, you finished last, of course.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I was one of the last men standing, so I was happy to get back in one piece.
Jimmy, do you think you would have won the Cup?
Yeah, I think I really would have, Pete. All I needed was that ounce of luck to get that run, and unfortunately we didn't get it, but what an effort to stay up. I think it was more good luck than good management, to be honest.
Well, let's have another look at a replay of the Melbourne Cup from a few different angles that you may not have seen before and pick up some of this interference. And really, it all started from the word go, because when they jumped out of the gates and that roar went up around Flemington, we had a great deal of anticipation what was in front of us. But look at the horse in the light sleeves. There it is from the light ship carving across the front of the field. Now, Jimmy, you're over near the inside, about to get to the rail, but you're about to cop a very bad check.
Yeah, I've got the grey horse, Lahar, just in front of me. And you can notice just as we come off this little bit of a dummy rail to join the course proper, just prior to that here, you can see me going sideways, almost hanging right out of the saddle. So it was a remarkable effort to stay back, to stay on. But look, Pete, we had, as Mr. Gleeson says, you've got a 1,200-metre run to the first corner. Just a little bit more common sense would help, you know. And
Sky Heights was behind you back on the rail too, and he also copped a bit of the backwash of that interference.
Well, he went along the rail for probably some 5 or 6 strides and naturally got pushed further back than obviously Damien would have liked to. So it sort of caused a lot of congestion there just through one little incident.
Where were you at this stage, Chrissy?
I was actually behind Damien, and I could see a bit of interference going on up ahead of him, and I was really just trying to keep myself alert to what could happen, I suppose.
Is there a lot of calling out going on at this stage of the race?
Well, there was in that early part, because them runners coming across, and you know, the thing a jockey we normally do is always try to look after the one inside. So someone like myself closest to the fence is calling to the one outside you, which at that time was Corey Brown, and look, he done a marvellous effort to look after me and keep the others off me for as long as he did. So there's plenty of yelling and screaming going on that first furlong and a half.
What about up the front here, guys? We've got the horse from the Godolphin stable, Central Park, the Message, the Warrior, Zabwan, Zazabel. All of the outsiders were surrounding Rogan Josh, who was the only one of the favourite ones up the front. And as it turns out, Jimmy, 21 gate probably was an advantage for him.
Best ride in the race, the winner. He rode at a treat. He didn't panic. He just ambled up towards the lead early. He was still waiting sort of after he went 200 metres to slot in. And as you can see here, he's running fourth with a beautiful run, lap full of horse, and a great ride by Johnny Marshall.
Dettori's had his critics over the years here at Flemington, but I thought he rode Central Park beautifully. He rated the horse almost to perfection.
He did. He rode him a treat in front. He's rated him beautifully, slowed them up, going up the back, going to about the 1,400-metre mark, and he's continued to cuddle him all the way. I just wish he had kept him a little bit straighter the last bit.
Yeah, there's Grant Cooksley going down. Chrissy, that looked a bad one. Did you see that happening?
Well, actually, Grant was outside of me through the race, and I could see his horse was pulling for quite a bit, but I actually spoke to Grant on Saturday night, and he said the only thing he could remember in the race was when I spoke to him, so he had his sense of humour about him after all what happened.
Righto, now we're at the top of the straight. Dettori's rated this horse Central Park beautifully. The Message has had enough. Rogan Josh is travelling really well for Johnny Marshall. Jimmy Cassidy, take us through your thoughts over the last 400 metres. There you go in the black sleeves. What's happening now?
Well, I'm just working up behind Rogan Josh. I've got travel mate on me inside there, and I'm actually working into the race beautifully. Right, you can see here I'm inside Rogan Josh. Frankie Dettori's mount comes out. Travel mate pushes me across Rogan Josh's heels, and you see me just about fall out.
Did you think you were going down?
I just closed my eyes, but the boys were laughing when they watched the replay. 2 strides later, I pulled the stick, so I didn't really think. I knew I'd stayed on, Pete.
We always said you had good balance, Jimmy.
I don't know, it was a good balance or a lot of aggression that he was taking out on the horse.
All right, here's this replay again as they come down the straight the first time, and that is the Warrior in the white sleeves about to come across, and just watch the chain reaction caused there. That's Jimmy Cassidy in the Heinz colours with the black sleeves and the black cap, and Sky Heights in the blue and gold between them. And look at the contact here. Gee, that must have been a hairy moment, Jimmy.
You can see me right out of the saddle. At that point where I was right out of the saddle, Pete, you can see the false rail joining to the actual running rail itself. Now, me and Shane Dye and a couple of fellow riders suggested to the stewards that rail should come out a little bit further. The boys in the studio, let's see them, will realise that it's probably just in a little bit too far. It doesn't come flush with the running rail, and it should actually be out that little bit more to give horses that chance to actually join the course proper.
I've got Jenny Chapman here with me. Jen?
Yes, I just wanted to ask the boys, how fiery was it in the jockey's room after the race?
Well, funny enough, Jen, I was asked naturally by the media what happened, who was to blame, and I didn't want to make a comment until I'd seen the stewards' films from 3 different angles. And there was contributing factors, so you could say that no rider was to blame, but you can see Frankie Dettori's horse does come out when he's still riding. There was a slight movement from Zazabel in the black and the gold on the outside, which give initial little bit of a bump to Rogan Josh, and then obviously with Travel Mate coming out onto me, pushed me across Rogan Josh's heels.
Richard Friedman's also got a question.
Jim, I just saw you the run disappear as Travel Mate got that run. Usually the horse going better gets the run. Would you have agreed with that at the time?
Well, the thing was, his momentum, once he steered the horse inwards, which he had no option but do because of Frankie's horse getting in, and that's when he just ended up with a wood on me, Rich.
Gregory Michael Hall, you have also joined us. You rode Streak in the Melbourne Cup and you didn't have much luck either.
No, well, what happened was, Pete, I don't know what the boys said earlier, but it felt to me, I drew out a bit 17, but we were all quite happy to go forward. And the first 300 metres, it seemed like a 1,200-metre race, and Striden's a horse that you don't want to fire him up. And anyway, in hindsight, I wish I had it, but I couldn't keep up with him the first 300. It was a bit in the same case as Sky Heights when I was talking to Damien, and then I elected to go back in behind the wall of them and try and slot in somewhere, and well, next minute, I mean, honestly, I don't even know what happened up front, but what did happen was, it was just like I said in the paper, it was like a huge wave had come back, and it hit us so hard, it hit us like a brick wall, you know, and it was you know, it's something that I haven't experienced before in a race, which has been a little while now.
Yeah, it has been a little while.
Yes, it has been a long time, Peter. We all know that, son.
As we have a look at the replay, Hawley, I'm controlling the show, by the way, just at the moment, even though you're trying to. Was it the roughest race you've ever ridden in?
Well, you know, I mean, that sort of doesn't bother me that much, but it was sort of rough in a sense that it was like Jimmy said, you know, if something had a gave, and then it was going to be a big headache because it was going to be a big problem. There would have been 8 or 10 of us go down, you know, it wouldn't have been just one because we were too close, you know. It was sort of, you know, I was sort of not that worried. I mean, Jimmy was probably a little more worried than I was. He was stuck in on the fence, but it was like he said, if one had went, we would have went down like 9 pins, you know. So it was just quite incredible. I mean, it all got down to pace, I suppose, which is pretty... I just don't know whether that's looks good on our behalf, you know.
Yeah, OK. Thank you to all of you, Jimmy Cassidy, Greg Hall, Chris Munce. Bad luck for the other day, but there's still a lot more rich pickings to be picked up, and I'm sure you'll be right there in the firing line.
Not over yet, guys.
Yeah, and thank God you're down the other end of the track.
Yeah, but the bad news for you is I'll be coming down there very shortly, and you wanted to take over this program, Hawley. You might be able to, because if it gets any hotter in here, I reckon I'll be able to take a couple of rides from you throughout the day.
Pretty warm down here too, Pete.
Yeah, well...
Pete's normally dishing it out and not taking it. That's why
mate, he can break out in a muck lather, my man too, Donny.
There's only one rougher race G's ever ridden in.
Yeah.
And that was the Golden Slipper, if you think back a couple of years.
Oh, when he put them all into the car park. Right, you blokes go off and talk about that. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thanks.
Jimmy Cassidy, Greg Hall and Chris Mutz enjoying themselves down there in the mounting yard, probably a little bit more than when they were out on the racetrack in that Roughhouse Melbourne Cup, but let's not take anything away from John Marshall, who rode a superb race to win on Rogan Josh. Second event is coming up. You saw the horses in the mounting yard. They'll be heading to the gates very shortly for the running of the Siemens Mobile Stakes. We'll head to a break with more from Milton, and then we'll come back and take a look at the horses here at Flemington on a magnificent Oaks Day for 1999.